Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Okay, it's fine how it was. All right, we're gonna play a game in 5 minutes. right. So this portion at the end here, I think I missed a major opportunity to win, right? All right, good. The computer doesn't like bishop takes h4. Uh, it's for computer reasons because playing against a human, this isn't all that bad. I push the queen away and she runs to the wrong square. When that occurred, I capitalized on it. Good. All right. My opponent's probably playing because it's been a while, but I'll send that. Okay. This game I just won. It would have been fun to have finished this out because I was to deliver checkmate by moving my king. It's very counterintuitive. Is that possible? Yes, it's indeed possible. Here, with white to move, the move king to b7, checkmate, right? It's recognized by the server as such too. It's kind of cool. Sometimes you can deliver checkmate with your, not with your king, but by moving your king. It's rare. I have come across this. I think this is now the third time in the approximately, I don't know, more than 20,000 chess games that I've played, that of all the wins involved, mine or opponent, this is the third time this has happened. So the a8 rook delivers checkmate, screaming, my liege, I need you to leave the square. Go to root my liege, I need you to leave the square and go to the 7th rank. I believe. Not there. So anyway, this is a fun way to tie up this game. It didn't quite happen that way. My opponent timed out. I won the game, so that feels good. We'll go through this game move by move. Okay, so move. What are we on? Move 5, d4. White grabs the center. So one of the ways to approach that position. One of the ways to approach that position. Trade of pawns. Some good developing moves. What the move here? Bishop to e2. There's a couple reasons why you don't go to d3. First of all, bishop to d3, you're going to lose your knight on d4, and if there's some saving tactic, it's going to be difficult to find, or you'll have to play accurately beyond what is necessary. Bishop to e2, on the other hand, helps the pawn push h4. So when the pawn eventually reaches the point at which black must decide whether to capture, ignore, which piece or pawn to capture with, then the bishop at a2 helps settle the matter in white's favor. On to h5 as planned. The computer is scoring these moves as mistake after mistake after mistake. They're not. They're just pawn storms are poorly understood by chess playing computers. They don't understand pawn storms as well as all the other things that they understand extremely well. And pawn storms aren't. The evaluating computer doesn't understand why h5 is a strong move here. So this capture of a knight on d4, my Silicon friend says can be ignored by h6. So now we've done all 1, 2, and now 3 moves down the h file, and all of a sudden the evaluating computer sees the worth of this pawn storm. Not to capture on d4 or recapture on d4 to reclaim lost material, but instead to get on with it. I don't calculate like a computer does, so I chose the second best move. Queen takes d4, knowing that sort of like unveiled attacks or discovered attacks on the queen here can be answered. Queen d1 is definitely one way. And most of them can also be answered with queen to d3. So I'm not too worried about discovered attacks on this. and it is a priority to move the queen off of d4 as soon as possible anyway. Knight to g4 is a miss, and the queen goes back to d4. Safe and sound. Knight to e5. And yet here I chose to capture. I said my opponent could just sit there and have me, use all this heavy artillery, so to speak, on the h-file, the rook on the h-file, the bishop at e2, the queen at d1, all supporting the h5 pawn. My opponent is wise. Well, if it's that much firepower on it, just ignore it. And I thought of that, and I thought, let's capture towards the center and capture the g6 pawn. Was one part of that is admitting that your opponent's plan was good. My opponent showed, I didn't really show it yet, I guess, but my opponent got out of the way here, and I might have maybe waited another turn with a move like g4, but I'm fine with the move I played, which is h takes g6, loosen some pawns up in front of black's king. Pawn to f4. Knight to c6. So booting that knight away, and what I'm worried about here is mostly how loose white's king is. This is not safe. This is not a safe king. This is not a safe king, and this is even less safe here for white. So I kind of went with it and said, well, it's going to take at least 1-2 moves. 1-2 moves to get a check against my king at e1. That's why I pushed the g4 pawn recently as on white's 14th move, and the f4 pawn as recently as on white's 13th move. Developing a minor piece with tempo in a way that the bishop could swoop in, slide in, and capture on b2 while also having initiative against white's rook. These are complications to something like rook b1 will scare the bishop away, or will it, because of queen takes a2. I didn't really want to get into all that right off, but I thought, wait a minute. Bishop to b2 hits the queen directly, or is hitting at the queen directly. Bishop d2 hits the queen. That must be answered by black before ideas of capturing on b2 or a2 or anything like that. So once in a while you make a move, you say, let's see how my opponent answers it. I don't see a way for the feared threat to be I don't see a way for the feared threat to come to fruition for my opponent. It's sort of a partial knowledge move. So the queen went all the way back to d8. Torch says that is the best move. I would agree. The idea of queen b6 is strong too. Queen b6 is said as the second best move. d8, queen's safe, so black moves on, continues. So this was a big inaccuracy. Torch wants bishop e3. In this way, the knight can retreat, and the knight can retreat in a number of ways. At d4, the most active way for white's knight to retreat, and if exchanges occur, then when the dust settles on the battlefield, white's queen is at d4 without any strong way to remove her from there. What a beautiful square d4 would be for the queen, right? All these, most of these pieces are, this is gone, this is gone, this is gone, this is gone. And the queen is on d4, which is very powerful there. a move like pawn to e5, then f takes e5, and either a trade of queens, which I wouldn't advise, just grab the extra material. So that's just one example of why the queen in the middle of a board on a semi-open or open game like this one is extremely powerful. We weren't quite there yet, right? That wasn't quite where we were. That was that? If that was under queen b6, then I think I was off. I was a bit off in my calculation, because if that was under queen b6, then black has an overpowering number of pieces trained on. So this is the queen b6 line. Queen b6, queen b3, torch asserts, and queen c5, queen h3, h6, castles queenside. Okay, so some complications. None of them, with no firecracker complications, no severely complicated or crazy complications, but complications nonetheless. Anyway, queen back to d8 is the best move. I played bishop c3. I'm okay with doubling back or doubling my pawns to get black's bishop off of this gorgeous diagonal. So I'm challenging directly at c3. My opponent wanted to trade. I was a little bit surprised, and after some thought, I said, doubling on the c file regains the material, and the pawn on d6 is like lunchtime for white here. So I'm not sure. The torch likes capturing with the b pawn instead of with the knight as well, and they're pretty close, so as well they should be. This is, knight takes c3 is a little bit tamer. It's a little bit more thinking for the long term, because white retains great shape with his queenside pawn structure. Alright, but with capturing with the c pawn, now white has the squares on which black would like to advance and attack are guarded. This is a very strong guard against incursions by the black knight. Black knight would have to go to a5 first and then capture on c4, which is also already being guarded. So capturing with the c pawn here is very strong to consider. And it leaves the knight a little bit vulnerable on b5 to a move like a6. White will have a3 available, and white will have d4 available for the knight to backpedal or retreat. And the upside of this all is, of course, that pawn I told you was weak on d6. So here, white captures with the queen is possible. I decided to capture with my knight. So knight to e8 misses or blunders into queen takes c3 check. And when the white queen blocks on d2, then queen takes a1. It's really ugly. Probably the white is then blocking with the bishop just to stop the insanity. And the rook slides over. This is it. So knight to e8 was a horrible blunder. I made this though because I thought, at least the thinking behind it was, for one, we can grab the that was the move before Jordan. Okay, but knight to e8, we're hitting at the queen, and that knight is pretty darn menacing here. Close to Black's king. I thought there might be a follow-up with a move like queen to d8, but only if the knight moves. I don't know. This might be something for me to contemplate. Knight e8 is a blunder. I think there are probably other moves on the board that dealt with the board better. Just materials, even capture on c8 would have been better here for white. Stock Torch likes simple the simple defend. Queen to d2 defends this c3 pawn that's weak and is also the keystone to attacking white's king and rook. Just plain and simple. Queen d2. So that being said, I played knight to e8. My opponent picked up on it. I blocked. And then I'm not sure about this. Queen takes d2, king takes d2. Not that I'm not sure about that. This is directly a horrible blunder. The move was queen takes e1, and then we're back to that situation where I block with the bishop or block with the queen and then get checked again. I'm down a rook after that. Compared to where I was, my opponent would have +6 points of material. So queen takes d2, king takes d2, and white is still alive, not thriving. This is not a great position for white, but there's enough of a game that I can continue to play. And this is all due to the knight. We go back all the way to the knight e8 blunder, is why a1 might have been captured by Black's queen. My knight gets the heck out of there. It's definitely the best move for white here. With check against my opponent's king, and a turn of events. Sad for my opponent, but how greatly opportunistic for me. My king challenges my knight, and I'm going to grab the rook on e4 all day long. And doubling on the h-files right here. My opponent's making his pieces active. I'm glad to capture the bishop, and more and more simplifications like that mean better and better chances for white. Now the key story here at this point is white has 12.8 seconds on his clock. That's some serious part of the story. So am I able to close this out just in the nick of time? I am a subscriber to chess.com, so I avail myself of pre-moves. I think by right about now, or even earlier, I'm not exactly sure when, I'm definitely using pre-moves at this point. Whenever you see, and so 9.1, and that goes down to 8.7, I made that move without a pre-move. But now, 8.7, and that goes down to 8.6, that's a pre-move. A pre-move is if you see your opponent's clock begin to tick by 10th of a second, 10th of a second, 10th of a second, way quicker than that, but you know what I mean? Like it's going always by 1/10 of a second. That's a pre-move. That's a person who has paid money to subscribe to chess.com and is using pre-moves to help win that game. So 8.6 is going to be 8.5 next, I think. Yep, 8.5, and then 8.4. So these are all pre-moves that allow me to complete the game despite being behind on time. And it's still a challenge. I would offer. This is not like ha ha ha, kind of like I got you. I've blown this type of position. I haven't blown this type of position. Sorry, but it's possible to mess up as white here, and you'll lose on time, and your opponent does something that breaks the chain of your pre-moves, upon promoting. You would promote, if you get your pawn to promotion, you want to promote to queen. I guess that stays, but that's it, pre-moves. And then this one I had to be a little bit careful and break out of the pre-moves. 8.4 to 8.3, 1/10 of a second. You notice how my clock goes from 8.3 to 6.4. That's almost 2 seconds, because I have to be careful in this position about black's different options. The main thing black should be aiming to do is to break white's stranglehold on pre-moves. I was able to move the rooks, so as to, this king is now, he's cut off from the other pieces. Oops, this black's king is only in these pieces here. White could do a couple things. I went here. I said, well, depending on how the rooks go, but at very least, this is around when I noticed that white's king can skirt from from d8 to c8 to b7. As long as the rook on the 7th rank is closer towards the center than the king. Okay, so that looked like this. I chose to get the a8 rook in place, and this was mate into 3.3 seconds. I am going to win this game. My opponent's timer ran out. Even if not, white will win this game by going from c8 to b8. Probably on pre-move, yeah. Alright, that's it. This was a raucous and interesting chess game. We could claim the continuation had white's king delivering checkmate by moving to b7. That's fun. How often do you see the winning move, king to b7 checkmate? So that was fun, and that's it pretty much. I've got Dark Law is broadcasting here. Okay. Thank you for watching. I'm More Gravity. Have a great night.